DeGrom. 102. No. Hello and welcome to the 14th ranked by you, the people, in our team profile and projections, your Texas Rangers, the former defending champs, no more. And that's because their 2024 DirecTV Rewind, if you're ready to transform your baseball watching experience, head to directv.com/johnboy or scan the QR code on the screen to learn more. Trev, it was a disappointing year, 78-84. That did land them third in the AL West last year. They were okay at home. They were bad on the road. They were awful against teams over 500. And Trev, I guess it's interesting to me as I look around at some of these different stats. They were ranked as the third best team coming into last season in our TPPs. The starting pitching, the relief pitching, the lineup, nothing jumps out. They were 23rd in OPS last year, 21st in starting pitching ERA, and the bullpen was worse. I don't know. It was an underwhelming year from the Texas Rangers, and who did they bring in to quelch that?
We'll get into it, but I almost feel like the last year doesn't exist in Rangers fans' mind. It's like I try to erase 2020 from my mind.
Right.
2024 for Rangers fans doesn't exist. And I think I actually feel like that's okay because they were bit with the injury bug. They just won the World Series. A lot of things help with the coping, but I'm looking for a completely different 2025 for these Rangers. And I'm going to tell you who they added. Get a comfy seat because it's a lot of people. They bring in our guy, the mercenary himself, Jock Peterson. 2-year, $37 million deal. There is a player option for 2026. The Rangers can override that if they give him 2027. So a little bit of let's see how he does this year, and we'll decide if we're going to give you 2 years on top or you can opt out. Interesting to see how that goes down, but we know Jock is going to do one thing, and that is absolutely mash right-handed pitching. So love that for them. Higashioka comes over, another guy who, like, for a catcher, puts up some nice offensive numbers. He comes over on a 2-year, $13.5 million deal. And then the relievers come in to play. Chris Martin, 1 year, 5.5. Hobie Milner, 1 year, 2.5. Luke Jackson, 1 year, 1.5. Sean Armstrong, 1 year, 1.25. Jacob Webb, 1 year, 1.25. They also traded for a few people. They traded for Jake Berger from Miami last year, 103 OPS plus, 29 homers for Mr. Jake Berger. Robert Garcia comes over from the Nationals to add to that bullpen. And then the minor league deals are a bunch of names you just know that I love. Kevin Pillar said he was retired. Then said no.
Yeah.
I can do what I want. Minor league deal. Nick Ahmed, minor league deal. Jesse Chavez will be throwing meaningful innings for a baseball team until we don't exist as a society anymore. JT Chagua, my Frenchman. Fingerprints all over this team. Adrian Hauser is there. Sam Haggerty, Tucker Barnard, and Alan Trejo all are there on minor league deals. And don't forget Chad Wallach. They brought in a ton of people. Okay? They brought in a ton of people. Did they lose some? Yes. Jake, please tell me who they are.
You know, they lost the back end of their bullpen, which is scary a little bit. Kirby Yates had an incredible season. Leclerc did not. He was up and down. He goes to the A's. Max Scherzer's gone. Only 9 starts for them last year. Carson Kelly, who's actually solid for them, but you mentioned Higgy coming in. The Heen Dog, 160 innings. He's in Pittsburgh. That Pittsburgh rotation. Nathaniel Lowe, early settler, was traded for Robert Garcia, like you mentioned. Grant Anderson is out of town. Jankowski, Chafin, David Robertson, unsigned as we record this. I don't know. Seems like it always works out, doesn't it, Trev? And Jose Urania actually threw them 109 nice innings last year. I think the parts in are better than the parts out. And Trev, I think that I think the Rangers lineup is the juiciest part. It's what carried them to a World Series. It looks a little different, but it's still a juicy.
Don't tell Rangers fans that I've said that before and like, well, actually, we didn't just slug our way to a World Series title. Okay.
Yeah.
No, trust me, they're going to tell you that, Jake.
Yeah.
Go look at the box scores. But I agree with you. This lineup, by the way, I also forgot to mention they re-signed Nathan Eovaldi, my guy, who's like
Your guy.
at the top of the charts for just bring him into your organization. You're going to be better for it. And he's there. But the lineup is scary. It's beautiful. I think this lineup has the biggest bounce back year of any lineup in all of baseball, just health wise. And these names, they got track records here. That is facts. Marcus Semien, second base. Corey Seager, shortstop. That middle infield duo right there, one of the best in baseball. Wyatt Langford really came on towards the end of the year. He'll be in left field. We mentioned Jock Peterson coming as the DH. Adolis Garcia, we playing some right field out there, and we know what he brings to the table. Josh Young at third base. Jake Berger coming in will be the first baseman. Jonah Heim behind the plate, and our guy Evan Carter in center field. On the bench, they have some options. Ezekiel Duran can kind of play everywhere. You got Shioko, we mentioned. Josh Smith, like sneaky, really good bench piece. Former Yankee.
Yeah.
Big leaguer?
Joey Gallo trade.
Josh Smith. Leody Taveras is there. Then some of the guys I mentioned. Does Kevin Pillar have a chance to make the team? Tucker Barnhart, Nick Ahmed. We'll see if these guys make the team out of spring training or have some sort of, presence in the lineup during the year. But I obviously that is going to be one of, if not the strengths of this team. Jake, tell me about this rotation and the bullpen.
Tell me something, boy. Well, there's one of the most fun names in the sport. Jacob deGrom. Let's see. From maybe the most dominant pitcher we've ever seen at the major league level. There's now been a lot of injuries, but he's supposed to be back for this year with Nathan Eovaldi at the top of that rotation. John Gray twirling the pill down there still. Tyler, Papa Molly, I'm sweating, and Cody Bradford should round out the rotation. Dane Dunning floating around. Let's see when the kids get the call. Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter, both big prospects. And Senor Puke, Adrian Hauser lurking. The bullpen, Chris, you mentioned a lot of them. It's basically all new. Martin, Garcia, Webb, Armstrong, Milner, Jackson. I guess I'm interested to see where do those late innings come from. Chris Martin seems like the leader in the clubhouse for that bullpen. But, Trev, I love a good team identity. When those Rangers did go on to win the World Series with hitting and pitching, the bullpen was viewed as one of the scariest things in a bad way, and things clicked at the right time. So, where does it start, Coach? Is it the lineup or is it the pitching?
I think this team has so much potential. We're talking about a team now where you could say they have a ceiling of being the best team in the American League. Now, a lot of things have to go right. We have not been able to say that for a team so far in our TPP rankings. This team has the potential to win the to be the best team in the American League. Maybe did we say that about the Rays?
No.
We said they could win the East, though.
You said that.
I said that.
Yeah.
I have the Rangers on a tier above that. But there is caveats to that. I mean, look, health is obviously a huge question mark. I'm not even going to get into Jacob deGrom, which I think maybe is the biggest what if scenario for them. Like if he is a guy and can throw you 130 innings of like ball like he can throw, that changes the outlook of this team completely. I'll stick with a lineup here. There's got to be a lot of bounce back. Like Semien needs to get going with the bat again. We know he's going to provide value defensively. He's going to play. Needs to find his form offensively again. The same with Adolis Garcia. There's a stat out there that he was one of like 7 players that was qualified for the batting title that was under replacement level last year. But we know what he can do. He has a track record. He needs to come back. Wyatt Langford needs to build on a strong end of the season and be that guy. Evan Carter is another guy who I think, again, burst onto the scene at the end of 23. And then last year, it was tough for him. Had a rough go. I think if this lineup is healthy and everyone is surrounding him again, it's going to help. He's been through a full season now, and just coming back in, knowing what that means, I think he'll make some adjustments. I still believe in him heavily. So yeah, it's just the potential is there, but we have to have some bounce back, and we have to have some youngsters take this step forward. But I don't think it's like crazy to think with this group that is like, I think it's going to happen. Like in my mind, I'm kind of like banking on all those things to happen. I'm not questioning it as much as maybe I would question another team or teams that we've already done. I like the position they're in to bounce back. That being said, the rotation in the lineup, like again, the rotation in the bullpen, there's some ifs there. Right? Like
Yes.
DeGrom is a big one. I think Eovaldi is going to give you somewhere in the threes, and he's going to pitch, and he's going to do that. Like, what are Kumar Rocker and Jack Leiter?
Yeah.
Like, Jack Leiter has been lit up, like, pretty much every stop that he's been at. Like, the fastball doesn't play. He's got to add a wrinkle to that somehow. Like, it's got to move. He's got to spin it differently. It's got to do something, arm angle, whatever it is. It hasn't showed up, so offensively, I think they're fine. I think I'm a little bit more worried about, I guess, rotation and bullpen. They have the pieces there, but there's more question marks for me there than there is in the lineup, I think.
Definitely. Definitely. And it's as we climb the list and the teams start to change, and sorry to my Rocks and Marlins fans, but some of those early TPPs you're grinding through and you're like, okay, I hope this happens, and I hope this happens. As it starts to go, it's like, wait, this is solid. This is good. The Rangers lineup, if like Simeon, Seager, Peterson is right, like that can be a 3 that can go with anyone. Wyatt Langford, I mean, he ended up with like a 4-WAR season, kind of under the radar last year, and he ended with a monster month. So is that going to be the norm? He mashed lefties all year. I like when a young guy, they go through the lumps. I like when a young guy has something they can bank on. Like if you're Wyatt Langford, you look back at last year, you're like, okay, I banged lefties.
Spring training was sick too.
Spring training was sick. And it's like, okay, let's figure out these righties just a little bit more, and I think he was like the 4th overall pick. So like he's got that kind of level in him. And yeah, there's some baseball stuff has been thrown out. Like, well, I talk about lineup protection. I'm very much into lineup protection. I think that matters. Like Jake Berger goes from the White Sox to the Marlins. How's your burger? Now he's in Texas with 30 plus homer potential, and he's slotted in the 7-8 spot. Like, this lineup can really be special. Like, this could be the best lineup in baseball. I'm not saying it's going to be, but I guess that's what's crazy looking back at last year, and they were 23rd in OPS. That's not what my eyeballs see when I look at this lineup. That I guess I need that to happen to then even do the discussion about the pitching, because DeGrom, so unfortunately we've been broken by him, that it's like, hey, when he's out there sick, let's watch it. But you almost expect to get the notification at this point. With that's brutal, but it's honest. This lineup needs to be the team's identity, and then we'll figure everything else out.
I think it can be. I think we just really, Rangers fans, like, guys, they were decimated by injuries last year. Evan Carter, 45 games total. Josh Young, 46 games total. Seager missed the end of the year last year with the right hip injury. Langford had a hammy throughout the year. A bunch of the starting pitchers were injured as well. Like, they just need to be healthy. They need to be healthy and have that full year make the adjustments. When you're not healthy, it's hard to make adjustments. And sometimes you're compensating, and so things are off. Like, be healthy, be yourselves. And then I do think the offense has a chance to be really special. And honestly, like, the pitching staff is going to be fine. Like, I don't think they're gonna be a top 5 pitching staff. I don't think they need to be that. They need to find themselves keep the team in the game. That is
Yes.
it, and then figure out your mix at the end of the games, who's gonna be your real high leverage guys. Here's my one question, and I bet Rangers fans are asking this too. Maybe they already have the answer. I just haven't found it. Why is Kirby Yates not back on the team? It's in a 1 year, like 13 or
Yeah.
14 with the Dodgers. We couldn't have done that in
Yeah.
Texas? My Texas Rangers spring training 2018, we couldn't have brought back Kirby Yates? You couldn't give him 2 years?
Well, and the other thing that I guess is interesting to me, because we talk, bullpen can flip quick, blah, blah, blah. Guy gets hot or guy finds a pitch. Their stuff ticks up for those 2 years, and that's a little bit of how it works. They brought in so many major league cheaper guys that they're probably not going to have. I guess I'm very curious by this, because sometimes I look at teams and we'll find out, okay, here's this guy in AAA. He throws 103 and he throws a split change that's never been hit. And you're like, okay, yeah, that's going to be huge for their bullpen. Like, I kind of don't see that. I don't want to be rude to these guys, and maybe there's something to be MLB bullpen guys in Webb, Armstrong, Milner, Jackson. But I guess it's also tough for me to be like, one of those guys is going to break out and be dominant. Like, I guess that's a mental hurdle for me, because the bullpen, the rotation isn't scary. There's guys there. It could click. Even if it's average, like you're saying, it's okay. This bullpen can't be bottom 5 again, because that's just a bad feeling to have on your team. And I'm not confident. Chris Martin's numbers last year were insane. He had the best K to walk ratio, I think, in baseball. But he's never had more than 5 saves in a season, so I don't know.
They're gonna find a way, and I do believe they have the ability to add when they need to add. The Kirby Yates thing is kind of crazy. David Robertson's still out there at the time of this. Like, maybe he come. I don't know. Like, I feel like there were people, and they could have went and addressed that, or do they not care because we won a World Series and we just figured our bullpen out at the end of the
Right?
year? Like, is that in their mind? Chris Young running this thing, he thinks like a pitcher, obviously. So maybe he's got a different idea than you and I have of what success means for them in a bullpen.
Hey, Trev, Chris Young, a lot taller than me, better
I
pitcher
think
than
he went to
me,
a nice school too, probably.
went
Didn't
to
he?
a better university than me. People would argue.
Central Connecticut is hot.
I don't know what the Cardinals are asking for Ryan Helsley, but my God. I don't know. Teams value relievers different, and clearly Texas, it's not the top of their priority list, but I think we're going to be a little surprised as we go through the upcoming teams. We've got 13 teams ahead of them. I don't see us finding a worse bullpen than them.
Okay, I mean, I don't disagree with that. I have to think, but yeah, I mean, I'm not expecting this. Hey, man, freaking prove us wrong. Maybe you do have Chris Martin, and then you have Garcia, who like can miss bats, like in a high leverage lefty role. Like, maybe they find their ways. Maybe Chris Young is gonna, put them in situations to be, to have, a better year. Maybe they're just gonna pull all the right strings. Him and Bochy are gonna just do it all together. But I do agree with you. Like, it's a lot of, okay, well, let's see. This is not a set. I don't think this is a set it and forget it type of bullpen by any means.
And hey, they are putting a lot of chips in Robert Garcia's basket. They traded Nathaniel Lowe for 2 years of Nathaniel Lowe, for more years of Robert Garcia, who is 28, and the baseball savant's pretty, and he's got 3 pitches that maybe this guy's the next Tanner Scott or something like that. I don't think he has that fastball, but he's got 3 pretty damn good pitches that maybe that's the oversight on our end. I was surprised. I brought this up before. Wyatt Langford's season last year landed in a good spot.
Pretty good. By the end of the year, yes.
16 homers, 19 stolen bases, a 740 OPS. and it really felt like the light bulb came on. And dude, like Evan Carter was like one of the stars of that World Series, and Adolis gets back to neutral. Like I don't know. I feel like the people listening know that we've liked the Texas Rangers off season. Everyone expects them to bounce back. I guess it does deserve to be said. Where's Houston at? I think we're still giving them the Houston respect, although people aren't in love with their offseason. And then it's just when is Seattle going to feel differently? While meanwhile, and if you go and relive that 23 season, like remember Houston, Seattle, and Texas fighting to get in the playoffs or win the division, that it came down to a couple games and then Texas went on to win the whole damn thing. And we got to shout out Bochy. We haven't done that yet, you know?
I already shouted them out. Said, are him and Chris Young going to figure out the bullpen? We just don't know what we're talking about.
Probably, right? They're smarter than us.
Do you have a Bruce Bochy impression?
I don't.
Chris Rose has that.
Yeah, that's
right. Don't you dare try. Don't be disrespectful.
Right in Chris Rose's wheelhouse. Maybe doppelganger. Anything else on these Rangers before we go over under?
It's just such a wide variety of outcomes for this team. More so than I've felt in a while on a team.
Yeah.
But I think I just have the health issues in my head from last year. The only one you really have to worry about, which probably is the biggest X factor of the team, is Jacob deGrom. The rest I would just put on regular health watch. You know what I mean? Like there's nobody that's like, the only one that's been injured a lot as of late is Jacob deGrom.
Yeah, it's funny that Seager has a little bit of that rep. The past 2 years, he's gotten banged up. He's still played 119 and 123. So it's not like, you don't see that 42 games up there or something like that. And when he's out there, he hits. And he hits a lot.
I think we're ready, Coach.
Let's get into the DraftKings over under. You should go to the DraftKings Sportsbook. The NBA season is rolling. Hey, some spring training action. DraftKings has it all, and new customers who bet $5 will get $150 in bonus bets instantly when you use code Talkin. Whatever player props you want to get into, triple-double watch, guy in New York that does that a lot. Whatever you want to get into, DraftKings is the home of NBA player props. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Now, new customers use code TALKIN. Bet just $5 on any wager and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code TALKIN only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. What do we got?
Coach, just checking some Kumar Rocker stats real quick.
Ooh.
The DraftKings over-under win total this year for the Texas Rangers is 85.5.
Okay.
Last year, again, Rangers won 78 games, in which seemed like a worst case scenario for them with what they dealt with last year.
Yeah, there was a couple weird numbers on the sheet Dalton put together. Like they were the best lineup when they were ahead in the count. So lineup had the best OBP with runners in scoring position. So there was moments of good, but 85.5.
Gosh, yeah. I mean, I think I got my answer.
I have mine.
In 3, 2, 1.
Over. I think I'm gonna lock it. I think this team wins the West. I think the Astros took a step back. I think Seattle is still Seattle till they're not. And I believe in like World Series hangovers. And
well, they were just injured too.
But that's part of it. Like I think that's connected. You play.
Oh, they were just so drunk from World Series, or so gluttonous, so they just injured themselves.
You play an extra month of baseball. Yeah. I think that has an effect.
What would I know about that?
Oh, don't do that to yourself, Coach. You just needed more pitching.
I just put me on a freaking winning team, and postseason, that's when I was going to thrive, Pop.
You were Steven Pierce. You were David Freese. I
was going to say, I'm more David Freese, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you are. Hey, Rangers fans, let us know. I think that fan base has to be excited for this season. Everyone, let us know your fears, concerns. What did we miss? Go nuts, Higgy, behind the plate. Love that guy. And we will be back with team number 13. I'll give you a hint. Better bullpen.